Welcome, Skippy drivers, to the 2020 season Week 7 Oran Park track tutorial. Oran Park Raceway started in 1962. The last race was in 2010 before it was sold and turned into housing development. Yay. iRacing defines this as 11 or 12 corners. I think it's 11 on the map that they have, which is right here, or 12 on the map that they have. On the actual program itself, it will tell you that it is 11 turns. It's 1.62 miles. This tutorial is done with the default weather. The time of day is in the morning. I think it's like 7:55. Track usage is at 35%. Track time is, for me, I believe I'm a little bit slower than what I should be. So there's going to be room for improvement on here. And temperature does make a huge difference on this track. Let's take a look at the weather here. You can see the weather set up 1.62 miles, 11 turns. The temperature 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Track is 89 degrees Fahrenheit. The This was a hosted session that I did. You see my lap time, I got to a 1:14.967. I've been a little bit faster, been a little bit slower. The top time of the day in my session was a 1:14.7. In a separate session just before this, I saw Tim Hendrickson do a 1:14.5, I believe, with the default weather settings. So I am a little bit off pace. We will find time throughout the week, and hopefully people will give me some feedback, tell me where I'm off a little bit, and we can get that corrected. My optimal time is really actually a 1:14.4, I think. I just can't get all my sectors together with it, so it's tough. So, you work hard on it. It's going to take some practice on here. This course has a few passing zones. The passing zones, primarily you'll see them in the straight going into turn one. If you get by there, people will, they'll get the draft down the straight and they'll slingshot around at turn one. That's the normal place that I see quite a bit. I do see people do late passing there, which causes people to get side by side. There gets to be a lot of contact because everyone is at the limit of grip as they get through that corner. If they are side by side, it usually compromises both racers' corners. So you have a drag race going into two, and that will be interesting because coming out of two, we take that little 3-4 uh, zigzag here, in which case this is new. I've never raced this before, so it'll be interesting when people go through here. I don't really see where there's a lot of room to do this fast. Definitely there's enough room on the track, but I just don't think it will be very fast. So that is that on there. The 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll see some um, racing through 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like I said, it's going to be side by side. Otherwise, the rest of the track, it's usually if someone makes a mistake, they get off track, they have to lift, they get a little sideways, you turn in too late, too early. They make a mistake, it gives you an opportunity to make a pass on there. Other than that, you're going to really see a lot of that at turn one. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at this lap that we have here. We'll go ahead and move through. Coming out of the last corner, we're going down the straight. You're going to stay to the far right of the track. What we're looking for as we come up here is we're looking for the end of this wall, which is going to indicate it's going to be our turn in point. There is no brake on here. It's extremely fast. You're going to apex all the way to the left. I didn't get enough curb on here. You can get a little bit more curb on there. I've seen people go almost half a car on the left hand side there. Biggest thing is when you start to unwind this is to make sure that you get the wheel unwound so that you can brake in a straight line and get all the way down into first gear for the really the first part of this corner. This is kind of the bend. They call it the sweeper. It's a combination of the sweeper that goes into the Coca-Cola corner. So we'll come up here. You'll see, boom, I'm getting the wheel straight. As soon as I get that wheel straight, actually even before then I'm starting to get on that brake. But I'm really getting on the brake hard when I get that wheel straight. Doing a turn in, you're going to get next to that curb as close as you can into this curb in here. That's where you're aiming with the car. You stay in there as close as you can. Don't go on top of that curb. It will get the car out of sorts. You're going to stay around there, then track all the way out over to the far right apron. Get all the way over to the right. That is the hardest corner for me. I can't stay consistent on it. Sometimes I'm super fast. Sometimes I feel like I'm fast, but I'm really slow. You need to come down into turn two. So you'll be upshifting. You go all the way down into first gear into turn one. So you're going fifth all the way down to first. You're going to come out. You're going to shift into second. You'll get into third about in here. You're going to stay in third. You could go into fourth late, but then it's just another thing you have to do. Third is good. By the time you wind out third, you should have already started on your braking. We're going to aim to the left-hand side where those tires are over here. You're going to brake right about at the end of those tires while you do a hard brake. You're going to be doing a downshift, then you're going to downshift again. Apex, this is a little bit late apex, mid to late apex. You're going to track out all the way to the cones on the left-hand side. I didn't go quite that far this time. You want to be mid-track left whenever you come out of there. You're going to stay on the left-hand side as you come down into turn 3, which is right here. Turn 3, no name. Stay close to the left-hand side. I've seen some people put tires on the left-hand side. It can get your car, it can grab it and pull it left and cause you to ride the curb. You do not want to do that. So stay far left on here. You're going to come up, I brake just about right in here. I'm going to get on the brakes, not super heavy, but enough to slow the car down, and then trail brake as I take a hard right around this corner. You'll see the brakes come in 50% or so, trail off, get back on the gas right before the apex. You want to apex with your right tire right on that curb. And this is a corner you can go wide, you can stay tight. I haven't seen a huge difference between the two, because if you go wide, you have more speed as you reach the bridge. If you take it in tight, you have less distance. Time is about the same. Uh, so you might see some people get a little overly optimistic, thinking they could pass on the inside of here and then really compromise both their track position and the track position of the car that's adjacent to them as they approach that bridge. So this is the turn 4, 5. It's champion curve. You're going to go, you're going up to second as you come out of 3. You're going to go back into first, then shift into second, and then back up to third. Track out to the left. Like I said, you can go tighter or wide on that. I went a little bit wider on this one. You're going to start for the next turn, which is Yokohama's Bridge. And I don't know if that's the name of the turn or if that's just the name of the bridge, but it's turn 6. It's a third gear turn. You're going to turn in from the far left. You're going to turn in way out here. You can see I'm quite a bit away from where the bridge actually is and where the tires come in. I'm going to turn in really early here. Idea is to point the car right over here, and your nose can actually be on that white line that's there. I think I stay a little bit wide on this one, but you can get your tires all the way over into the dirt on the right hand side in this turn. So really experiment with it. You will have to potentially lift just a little bit when your tires are cold. When your tires are hot, you can keep this floored, as I did, through this entire corner. Unwind all the way to the left. Keep your speed up by not getting a whole lot of tire squeal, not getting the car sideways. There's a lot of time to be lost here if you slow down very much. Think of this almost as a straight. You do have a lift through here, but that is it. So you're going all the way to the left hand side, right when I can start to see the rumble strip change on the left, the curb change to the red and white lines. I'm starting to lift the throttle, as you can see, right when you can start to see that. And then my turn in starts from the left. My left tires are just in the dirt on the edge. I'm lifting, I'm turning in. You'll see how I get this car way over to the right on here. This is Foster's dip. It comes in here. You got to be careful on this corner. Some reason it looks like I do the exact same thing as I do this one, and I get a 1x. Sometimes I don't. So you got to be very careful on there. You're going to track through there. You can see how much curb I took on that. Just a huge amount of curb. You're going to track out far to the left. You can get your tires to the left into the grass a little bit without getting a 1x. You go too far and it will give you that 1x eventually. But you track out all the way to basically what's going to be the lack of a term, an early apex into turn 8. Turn 8, you're also going to be shifting from third up to fourth gear. You can experiment with that a little bit, see where you want to do that at. Third, you can see I got my tires a little bit in the dirt there. I'm up to fourth gear here. I'm now coming in to the Momo corner. I'm up in fourth gear. I'm going to drop into third gear about midpoint in here. It's going to be right in here is where I'm going to drop into third gear. I'm going to brush the brakes. I think I get on the brakes a little bit heavier than I should have here. probably cost me half a tenth or so. Uh, I'm doing it really, to kind of get just a little bit of weight on the front tires to allow the back to rotate a little bit, and then I'm taking a ton of the apex on here. We'll show this right here. We play through. You can see my braking starts a little bit right after I get on that curb. My turn in then starts right before you get to the where it changes color there. I do a downshift as well, and then I'm full throttle again before that apex, or not full throttle, close to full throttle before the apex. If you going full throttle right at apex, you can see how much curb I take there. There's no 1x on that. If you do start tracking out too far to the right, you can lift. It's much better to lift than go out and hit that sand out there. If you hit that sand, the back end will flip around. Be prepared to catch it. You can catch it if that does happen, but you will lose a ton of time. If you don't catch it, it's going to shoot you right out into the infield, and you watch everyone drive by you. So come out of here. I try to get back, maybe my left tire's about mid-track for the approach to, I believe it's the O'Brien aluminum corner. It's the 10-11 corner. I'm shifting it from third into fourth as I come out of here. When I come through here, I'm going to put my right tires on the right curb just a little bit. I'm taking, I guess, all the curb, but I'm not being overly aggressive. It's a little bit of what I call an early apex on there. I'm really trying to make this straight as possible. My goal is when I come over this, I want the tip of my car, right on that seam right here. That seam is where I'm aiming for. So you can see I've got that seam. I'm coming. I turn the wheel just enough to not go off track. You don't want to go too much because you will lose speed as you tires start to squeal. And then you want to go to the far right to get into turn 12, where you're in fourth gear. You're going to be going from third to second. I initially brake here right about even with the beginning of this sign. I know that some people are saying, hey, they can't really see the markers that are out there. This is another track that unfortunately doesn't have brake markers. Take a look as you come down, and I'll slow motion this. We'll come back a little bit. So if you're looking something on the track, it's hard to see anything that you can actually see it. I don't know if these tire marks are always there. If they are, you're looking at just past the tire mark that kind of comes out like this. Maybe where this dirt sort of stops and kind of transitions, might help you. Uh, it's before it gets to the bottom of the hill. You're going to get to the bottom of the hill. If you're running too low of settings, I think mine are set at a 1. If you're running too low, you will get a 0x and hit your wing at the bottom. I don't think it's damaging wings, at least in the practice session that a couple people were messing with it, but they were getting a 0x in there. I went to 3 and I got a 0x a couple times, and I went back to 1 on here. So you're braking hard. You're going to start getting that car turned in. You can see I'm starting to turn in right at that bottom of that hill, right when it starts to come up again. I'm starting that turn in. I'm aiming the car to get the tires right on that curb on the apex. You can see the tire actually goes over the edge. I watched Tim. He was really cutting this a whole lot in here. You guys just got to be careful. The back end will start to slide out. You have to catch it if you take too much. I never got a 0x on it. Track all the way out to the right. Uh, I know that I did get an off track by going too long, too far on the right, where this becomes the pit entry. So get back eventually over, with the majority of the car to the left of the white stripe there, and power down this front straight. All right, we'll go ahead and rewind it and watch the from beginning to end. While this is playing, if you are looking for the OLAP or BLAP files, also the settings file, all that will be at www.2labsracing.com on the iRacing page at the very bottom. It has last week's settings. I'll put this week's settings up there as well. All right, thanks again. If you have any questions, visit the website www.2labsracing.com. Got some articles on there that you could read about driving the Skippy, well, driving in general, but specifically for the Skippy or what I've learned based on what I've read over the years. You also have the uh, comments that you can provide, questions you can put on the bottom. This is going to be on Twitch initially, it could be on YouTube as well. If you have any comments, feel free, write your comments in there. Suggestions, whatever you got. You got a place where I can be faster? Let me know because I want to be faster. I'm just really struggling with this. Really appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten so far. I'm glad I've been able to help some people get their times down. Hopefully, people will be able to help me get their times down or help me get my time down as well. And one other thing, iSpeed is a free telemetry product that you can use to collect data and compare it to other drivers. So, if you like this tutorial, my daughter Sienna was the director. She helped. She said I was being too flat to add a little bit of color to my vocals. Uh, I did the graphics at the very beginning, and then I had to start this about 4 or 5 times because I was too monotone or drab for her. So she helped with that and has been jumping up and down, distracting me throughout the entire video. But I appreciate her help. Hopefully, it makes it a little bit more entertaining to watch. Have a great day. Hope to see you out there racing, and we'll catch you next week.